You think you know Sea Ray? Think again. This isn't just the story of a boat brand, it's the story of how one Detroit entrepreneur bet everything on fiberglass when the world still swore by wood. Sea Ray didn't follow trends, it created them. It made boating mainstream, turned families into captains, and built machines that redefined luxury on water. But behind the polished gel coat lies a history of lawsuits, design failures, and near collapse. This is the untold, unfiltered story of how Sea Ray changed boats forever, and why it almost didn't survive. Let's start at the beginning. Before Sea Ray became the symbol of American boating, it was just a sketch on paper and a stubborn belief held by one man. Cornelius Nathaniel Connie Ray III. In the late 1950s, Connie wasn't following the boating establishment, he was challenging it. While most builders were still clinging to mahogany and teak, Ray looked at a strange synthetic material called fiberglass and saw the future. At the time, it was considered cheap, unproven, even dangerous, but to Connie Ray, it was a chance to break from tradition and democratize boating. In 1959, inside a modest Detroit garage, Sea Ray was born. It wasn't flashy, there were no big investors, just a vision to build sleek, modern boats that were affordable, durable, and unlike anything else on the water. 1 year later, that vision took shape in the form of the SR600. This 16-foot runabout didn't just float, it disrupted. With its futuristic lines, fiberglass hull, and aggressive stance, the SR600 looked like something from tomorrow, and people noticed. It was compact, affordable, and easy to trailer, opening up boating to families, weekend warriors, and first-time buyers. In an era dominated by heavy, high-maintenance wooden boats, the SR600 was a breath of fresh resin. But what made it truly revolutionary wasn't just the material, it was the mindset. Sea Ray was designing boats for how people actually lived. Boating wasn't reserved for the elite anymore. It could be a Saturday afternoon hobby, a family tradition, a slice of freedom. That first model wasn't just a product, it was a statement, and the statement was clear. The future of boating had arrived, and it was wrapped in fiberglass. What came next wasn't just growth, it was transformation. Sea Ray didn't just want to build boats, it wanted to build a movement, and the SR600 was only the beginning. Before we dive into Sea Ray's rise to power, if you've ever owned a Sea Ray or wanted to, let us know in the comments which model captured your heart. And don't forget to subscribe, because the story has just begun. Once Sea Ray had its first hit with the SR600, it didn't pause to celebrate. It went full throttle into the next decade, rolling out boats that didn't just sell, but set new standards. These weren't just products, they were proof that Sea Ray understood where boating was headed, and they were determined to lead the way. In 1964, they launched the SRX-17. Compared to the SR600, it was more refined, more responsive, and more stylish. It wasn't just a better boat, it was a sign of confidence. Sea Ray was evolving quickly, learning from real-world feedback and improving at a pace that left older competitors scrambling to catch up. But it was the SRV-230 that marked a true turning point. This wasn't just a boat, it was an idea, executed perfectly. With its deep V hull, it cut through rough water like a knife, but delivered a ride smooth enough for kids, coolers, and carefree afternoons. It was big enough to feel substantial, yet affordable enough for the growing number of middle-class families falling in love with lake life. By the 1970s, Sea Ray's vision had expanded. No longer just a runabout builder, they now offered a full range of bow riders, sport boats, and cabin cruisers. Each model delivered more than just utility. It offered comfort, clever features, and a design language that balanced luxury with affordability. Sea Ray's magic was in its balance. Their boats felt upscale without being out of reach. Their layouts were smart, but never gimmicky. They spoke to people who wanted adventure without sacrificing comfort. And that's how Sea Ray did more than just fill marinas. They filled a void in the market. By the end of the decade, they weren't just building boats, they were building weekend rituals, one model at a time. With momentum building, Sea Ray was poised for something bigger, and soon a corporate giant came knocking. By the mid-1980s, Sea Ray was more than just a boat builder. It was a force. Its models were everywhere, at lakes, marinas, and boat shows. The company had captured the imagination of recreational boaters across the country, and big players were starting to take notice. In 1986, that attention turned into action. Brunswick Corporation, a major conglomerate with holdings in everything from fitness equipment to bowling alleys, saw gold in fiberglass and made a move. Brunswick acquired Sea Ray for $350 million, a deal that shocked the marine world. At the time, it was the largest acquisition ever in the recreational boating industry. Why so much? Because Sea Ray had what no one else did. A loyal customer base, a premium reputation, and momentum. Brunswick also owned Mercury Marine, one of the world's top engine manufacturers. With Sea Ray under its wing, Brunswick now controlled both the boat and the motor, a vertically integrated powerhouse. The results were immediate. Production soared, distribution expanded globally. Sea Ray dealers became fixtures in almost every boating market. Marketing campaigns became bolder, flashier, more aspirational. The Sea Ray brand wasn't just selling boats anymore, it was selling an identity. The late 80s and 90s became Sea Ray's golden era. They launched hits like the 190 Signature, a perfect entry-level boat for young families. The Sundancer series became a new gold standard in express cruisers, offering just the right mix of luxury and functionality. By the late 90s, they had moved into big boat territory, building yachts over 60 feet long, signaling that Sea Ray was playing in the big leagues. But as with any rapid rise, cracks eventually started to show. Sea Ray's success brought scrutiny, and their hunger for expansion occasionally came at the cost of quality and innovation. Beneath the glossy marketing and booming sales, deeper problems were starting to surface. No empire rises without turbulence, and for Sea Ray, the higher it soared, the more visible its missteps became. As the brand pushed boundaries, it also crossed some, and the consequences were hard to ignore. One of the most damaging issues came from below the waterline, literally. In the 1980s and early 90s, Sea Ray, like many manufacturers, turned to balsa core construction. The idea was sound. Use lightweight balsa wood sandwiched between fiberglass layers to create stiff, efficient hulls. But the execution, not so flawless. When water intruded, and it often did, balsa acted like a sponge. Hulls began to soften, delaminate, and in severe cases, fail structurally. For owners, it was a nightmare. The promise of low-maintenance boating turned into a costly repair bill and a loss of trust. Even though Sea Ray shifted to closed-cell foam cores in the mid-1990s, the reputational damage had already rippled through the market. Then came the legal shadows. Sea Ray's rapid growth made it a target and an aggressor. Several smaller manufacturers accused the company of patent infringement, claiming that Sea Ray had copied cockpit layouts, swim platforms, and hull designs. While most of these cases were settled quietly out of court, the narrative took hold that Sea Ray wasn't just out-innovating the competition, it was overpowering them. To critics, this was the dark side of dominance. Sea Ray had the resources, the market share, and the lawyers to do as it pleased. To loyalists, it was the cost of playing at the top. But controversy, like hull damage, tends to linger. These challenges didn't sink Sea Ray, but they left marks, and for a brand built on trust and family fun, those scars served as a reminder. Success isn't just about innovation, it's about accountability. Even with those stumbles, Sea Ray still had loyal fans, but not every model was a hit, and some they'd probably rather you forget. Liking the story so far? Tap the like and subscribe buttons, because next we're breaking down Sea Ray's best models ever, and the ones that missed the mark. To truly understand Sea Ray's legacy, you have to look at both sides of the wake. The models that made waves for all the right reasons, and the ones that quietly sank under expectations. Let's start with the standouts. The Sundancer 340, launched in the early 2000s, is often viewed as peak Sea Ray. It delivered on all fronts: spacious interior, dependable performance, and styling that still holds up. It's the kind of boat that built Sea Ray's reputation, and still commands respect on the resale market. Then there's the 190 Signature, a 90s staple and one of Sea Ray's most beloved entry-level models. It was simple, durable, and delivered pure fun without the fuss. Whether you were towing a skier or cruising the lake, it just worked. Fast forward to today, and the Sundancer 370 outboard shows that Sea Ray hasn't lost its edge. Joystick docking, digital controls, outboard power under a sleek sunpad, it's modern luxury reimagined, and a reminder that Sea Ray can still lead when it wants to. But not every model told a success story. The Pachanga 22, brought back in the late 80s, tried to capture old-school magic, but failed to deliver the thrill. It felt sluggish and overpriced, missing the spark of the original. Then came the 175 Sport, an affordable boat that many hoped would be a game-changer. Instead, it was a lesson in cutting corners, with flimsy materials and questionable durability. Even some mid-2000s cruisers fell flat, bloated with features but lacking identity. It was a sign Sea Ray had momentarily lost its focus. Still, when you stack the wins against the misses, the score isn't even close. Sea Ray's best boats didn't just perform, they became part of people's lives. So, with lessons learned and a changing market around them, Sea Ray had to make a choice: evolve or fade into the background. As the marine world shifted in the 2010s, Sea Ray found itself at a crossroads. The competition wasn't just heating up, it was evolving in entirely new directions. European luxury builders like Azimuth, Princess and Journeau were creeping into the American market with sleek designs, high-end finishes, and a strong sense of brand identity. Meanwhile, wake boats from companies like Malibu, Axis, and Mastercraft began capturing the attention of younger, thrill-seeking buyers. Sea Ray, once the dominant name in middle-class boating, was now caught in the middle. The warning sign came in 2018 when Brunswick Corporation, Sea Ray's parent company, openly considered selling the brand. For longtime fans and dealers, it was unthinkable. Sea Ray, up for sale, the company that helped define the American boating lifestyle. But that moment served as a wake-up call. Sea Ray didn't need to be everything to everyone. It needed to refocus. So they pivoted. Instead of chasing the ultra-luxury yacht segment, Sea Ray pulled back. They halted production of their large yachts and concentrated their efforts on premium dayboats, sport cruisers, and bow riders, the spaces they had once dominated and still understood best. That pivot gave birth to the SLX series, a fresh, upscale line of boats designed for modern families and lifestyle-focused boaters. Sleek profiles, smart tech, and a return to intuitive layouts made the SLX line an instant hit. Sea Ray wasn't just building boats again, they were building boats people actually wanted. The move was smart. Rather than trying to compete with every brand in every category, Sea Ray doubled down on their roots: stylish, family-friendly performance with a dash of luxury. It was a recalibration back to what made them special in the first place. Reinvention wasn't just about styling or size, it was about rethinking how people interact with their boats, and that's where Sea Ray quietly changed the game again. Sea Ray's reputation wasn't built on raw speed or extreme luxury. It was built on making boats smarter, easier, and more enjoyable for everyone. And one of the most overlooked aspects of that legacy is just how early Sea Ray embraced boating technology. By the early 2000s, they weren't just updating hull designs, they were integrating advanced features that were once reserved for high-end yachts. Sea Ray was one of the first mainstream manufacturers to introduce joystick piloting, digital throttle and shift, DTS systems, and touchscreen dashboards into boats under 40 feet. For many owners, this was game-changing. Suddenly docking a 35-foot cruiser in a tight marina wasn't a white-knuckle ordeal. It was smooth, precise, and stress-free. Sea Ray gave average boaters the tools to feel like seasoned captains. And the innovation didn't stop there. They pioneered clever layouts that featured modular seating, convertible sun pads, and integrated audio zones years before they became industry standards. They also played a key role in popularizing inboard-outboard hybrid powertrains, which offered better performance and flexibility for different use cases. What really set them apart was their focus on the boating experience as a whole. Sea Ray understood that customers weren't just buying horsepower, they were buying moments, family time, sunset cruises, dockside gatherings. And so the brand put just as much effort into things like ambient lighting, cockpit ergonomics, and storage optimization as they did into engines and hulls. While other brands fought for top speeds or flashiest designs, Sea Ray quietly built a reputation for making smart boating feel effortless. And that forward-thinking mindset didn't just help them survive the shifting market, it helped them shape it. But in a fast-moving industry, even innovation isn't enough. To stay relevant, a brand has to know exactly who it is and who it's not. After decades of rapid growth, major stumbles, bold reinvention, and industry-shaping innovation, where does Sea Ray stand now? The answer isn't just reassuring, it's impressive. Today, Sea Ray isn't chasing every market segment or trying to dominate every boat show. Instead, it's doing something far more strategic, focusing on what it does best. The company has moved away from the ultra-large yacht space and zeroed in on high-performance, family-focused vessels in the 25 to 40-foot range. Boats that offer both luxury and usability. Models like the Sundancer 370 Outboard, SLX 400, and the SPX series are proof that Sea Ray has rediscovered its core identity. These boats don't just look good, they're engineered with intention. Joystick controls, digitally integrated systems, thoughtful storage, and flexible layouts are all built around how people actually use their boats today. And it's not just about performance and comfort anymore. Sea Ray is also leaning into the future with sustainability initiatives. From exploring electric propulsion to improving fuel efficiency with lighter, smarter hull designs, the brand is clearly aware of the changing priorities among boat buyers. More importantly, Sea Ray is no longer trying to be everything to everyone, and that's a good thing. The marine industry is more competitive than ever, but Sea Ray's strength lies in refinement over reinvention. Instead of chasing trends, it's doubling down on creating great boats that appeal to real-world boaters with real-world needs. That focus is paying off. Sea Ray remains one of the most trusted recreational boat brands in the world, and its name still commands respect at marinas, dealerships, and boat ramps. 60 years on, Sea Ray's journey is still unfolding, but one thing is clear: the waves they made aren't settling anytime soon. Now a quick to you. What do you think? Is Ray still the king of American boating? Or is its crown slipping? Tell us your take in the comments, and if you made it this far, hit subscribe, because more deep dives into boat legends are coming soon.